let's see this issue as that we all have the interest of Nigeria at heart. What we have done, that was why I'm coming, sir. That was why I insisted that you listen to the two scenarios. The second scenario that we have adopted, we are even better off. If it had been first scenario, it would have been worse. Now, sir, what the Senate President has said is the intent of us trying to make sure. That was why we never said we are capping it for 3 months or 4 months. We said for 2023. So that at any point in time that we run out, the government can come by a way of supplementary or any other document to augment whatever the shortfall is. That is the intention. That's the intention. Thank you.
Senator Aisha Dairo Ahmed. Senator Aisha Dairo Ahmed.
Mr. President, the 3.6 trillion is to run the subsidy for 6 months. That is what is contained in prayer 2. But what he said, they recommend prayer 2 with amendment on the component of the subsidy from 3.6 trillion to 1.7, with a difference of 1.9 trillion, Mr. President. And I cannot see the rationale behind approving a budget on an assumption that you will still prevent a supplementary budget to fund the petroleum subsidy component. I still hold my opinion, Mr. President.
Distinguished Aisha.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. Aisha Dairo Ahmed Binani, representing Adama Central. Mr. President, looking at this document, certainly we all know that tough time is awaiting each and every one of us. Certainly, looking at this document, even though it's just given to some of us this morning. So we just have to talk with the government. There is need for the government to look into critically to cap on the loopholes of leakages of funds. Mr. President, I want to align with what Senator Alkali said. It will not cost distinguished Senator Olamileko and the entire committee to change this 1.7 to that 3.6, because that is what even the executive have proposed. That's what the executive have proposed in their submission. Is there that the cost of subsidy, if retained throughout 2023, was put at 6.7 trillion by finance and budget national planning based on the information supplied by NNPC and NUPRC. 3.6. This will take us up to June. We are covered. Then after June, whatever is going to come, if it's going to come by way of subsidy, by supplementary or whatever, then or we are going to cut off the subsidy, that can take care, that time should take care of that. So it will cost the committee nothing to return that 1.7 to that 3.6. Otherwise, Mr. President, the masses, if this is the only thing that the masses are enjoying from the government, the subsidy, and then you are now taking this benefit from them, I don't think we are being realistic. Since that is what has been proposed in the last MTF, I think we should take it up. Since that's what the executive have proposed. It will cost nothing, so we should take it back to that 3.6, and it will take us. We are covered. That's one. Secondly, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the exchange rate at which this thing is capped, 437.5.
Have you finished? Have you finished? Please, distinguished colleagues, let's listen to our colleague in silence, please.
I'm very much concerned about this exchange rate. It is capped at 437. I'm very, very much concerned because we all know what is happening in the nation. If you go to other countries and if they said that this is their MTEF, the exchange rate is so amount. Wherever you go to change money, you will find that is the plus or minus is negligible. We are capping our exchange rate to 437. Today we all know that dollar is 740 or probably 50. And then this is what we are capping. And this thing will go down to the budget and budgetary process to buying into the market. It is just showing that we are building our house on a false foundation because this exchange rate is the foundation of our budget and budgetary process. So we should look into it, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Senator Barrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Senator Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, permit me to commend the chairman of Joint Committee, Senator Adiola Solomon Olamileko, and the entire membership of this Joint Committee. They've done a wonderful job, and so they need our commendation. Mr. President, it's disturbing that we are having 10.53 trillion as the deficit for these as contained in the report. Well, I think we can do more by making sure that we bring down this deficit. Because my biggest worry, we have areas where we can do with lesser deficit, particularly our oil production level is disturbing. We have the capacity to produce up to 2 million barrels per day. But here we are, only producing about...
That 1.7 is a non-starter, you can't make it up, but nothing like January to March. I believe that before I come to this side, you see, distinguished colleagues, what we have before us requires some radical approach, honestly. Certain things would have to be done in a very, very radical way because things are just too tough and decisions must be those kind of tough decisions that must have to be taken. Minority Leader. Minority Leader, you can't be speaking on phone now. Abba.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, that this chamber is still have this number here means that people understand what is at stake. It shows the seriousness the Senate of the Federal Republic is attending to national duty. And I also want to say that this data I have followed through the reports presented by the Senate Committee on Finance from 1999 to present, from 2019 to present, presented by Senator Olamileko. Mr. President, this is the best document he has ever produced by their committee, This is the best. I have all of them. I have the 2019, I have the 2020, this, and I compare all of them. I keep them in my file. This is the best classical work ever done. At least for me, from 2015 to present, we have not had any document done like this. My worry, Mr. President, that this thing is late in coming. All the revelations that put out in this place to turn the economy and make this place work, all the findings And all the recommendations which we are going to do here, they are very late. We are going for campaign. They are not other. This what these committees have done, this joint committee has done, Mr. President, calls to have a round table where we are going to sit and talk about the economy. We are here discussing about how to get just subsidy and not subsidy. Scenario 1, scenario 2. But the major issues are all stated here. The reason why we're even looking at scenario 1 and scenario 2. They're all here in this paper. And I wish anybody goes home tomorrow, go back and read this job. I followed him. It's a serious work done. That if we will look at all these issues, we will turn things around. Where do I begin? There are too many things to talk here, but I'll take some. One, you see, every year, our MDAs come here to present budget. And the budget they presented 2015 since I came here, is the same thing that we return. The same. They just bring the same issue. That this equipment, we are buying this one, especially the recurrent. They return them, just copy and paste. All this while. But Olamileko has just come for this last time to bring it up. This is the issue here. This is one. If you check the kind of money this country has wasted on recurrence of copying and pasting all these years, you will pity this administration. Mr. President, you see, look at the issues we are discussing here, the leakages. Our taxation, he talked about it, the tax revenue. How are we even doing the collecting the taxes to make sure that there are other countries that are not oil producing? All they depend is on taxation. They are making things work for themselves. Today, he also brought it here. Many of the companies that are here have waivers. The waivers is for people who are companies that are productive. There is no production, and you have waivers. Most of these businesses are businesses that should be led for Nigerians in other countries. Because this is selling, purchasing and buying and selling. That's what we are doing. But here you see foreigners who are here and say they're doing business. They come into the country here and they have their companies over there, produce it, and they come here and open office in Nigeria and are selling at the same time. So where do you want Nigerians to be? What is the employment? And they are not coming here. We are not encouraging them. The tax waiver we are giving them is to come here and stay in their country here and produce and benefit from our cheap labor and then create employment for our people. And we even learn from what they are doing. They are doing none. Mr. President, am I talking about the civil service here? People collect most of the budgets, the GOEs, government-owned enterprises that bring their budget anytime they like. They have their budget cycle out of we worked very hard to return the budget from January to December. But there are some that are working outside the law. Or do you say the people who say that they are following circulars instead of following our constitution? What do I say? That every money must return to the coffers. And it is only here in this parliament that you can guarantee that you spend this one, you don't spend this one. All of them are here. And that's why I say that, Mr. President, you see, that we even did other activities today before coming to this. This paper by which everyone is keeping is something.
Now you can round up so that others also.
Of course, you know the parliament has all the powers. But what percentage of power do we use in the lifespan of every parliament? Thank you, sir.
I think we need to focus on the very, very important recommendations made by the committee. We shouldn't lose sight of, because some of them are very far-reaching. Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, mine is very simple and very simple question. Why do we, I want to ask the chairman, why we have to wait till June next year before subsidy can be removed? And he didn't say so. He gave, if you look at the his recommendation, it is talking about 3 point something trillion from the 6 point something trillion, which means that it will have to be in June, and we're talking about June. So I want to know why, and also, have we been able to answer Alkali, because Alkali did raise very serious issues? Are we going to amend this report? What are we going to do so that we can, the chairman can, yes, the chairman.
The chairman, take note. Senator Albert Basi Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Albert Basi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, I think let's not lose sight of the fact that we have two scenarios. And based on the committee's recommendation, it's recommended scenario 2, which is basically what the federal government is working on. And the difference between these two scenarios, you have its subsidy. Every other parameters are the same. Scenario 1, subsidy 6 point something trillion. Scenario 2, that's for the whole year. Then scenario 2, subsidy 6 months, 3 point something trillion. The issue raised by Alkali is that if we are on scenario 2, then we must report subsidy at 3 point something trillion. If you come here, this committee is a subcommittee of the Senate. They have brought a document to guide us in taking an appropriate decision. So he's not on trial. He's not on trial. He's done the best of his job, and he has made his recommendation. The only difference between these two scenarios is the subsidy, 6 months, 1 year. So we cannot come here as a committee of the whole and say subsidy 1 year, then we are still at scenario 2. If we take subsidy 1 year, then we must return back to scenario 1. And yes, that's scenario 1. And under scenario 1, we cannot entertain additional capital projects. Those are the only difference. And under scenario 2 also that we are in, deficit 12 point something, 11 point something trillion. Therefore, whatever we must do is that we must subject ourselves on how we can manage our deficit. There is no saying that the parameters of production, crude production, is 1.6 million barrels per barrel. We hardly do 1 million barrels, a day. So we must be very objective. We must be very holistic, and we must also address the issues. We cannot go back to scenario 1 in subsidy 1 year. If it's recommended scenario 2, subsidy 6 months. And if it's 6 months, then we must reflect the 3.8 trillion. 3.8 trillion. So let's just marry it as versa.
Okay.
Election period. Between now and the next 6 months will be a period of transition. Do we still need to embark on capital expenditure? That's number one. What are those projects that we can roll over? So these are the things that we must do. We don't just talk blindly, sir. So here, let's be guided. Let's be guided by. Excuse me, please. Let's be guided by the two scenarios, and there are assumptions. Mr. President, please, I must be protected. I am making a very fundamental contribution.
I'm beginning to be concerned now on how to protect you, honestly.
No, what I'm